lot of you have questions for everybody here. I'm going to open it up to questions very soon, so if you want to start lining up at the mic, we'll get to that in just a second. I have 2 more questions. First, I wanted to ask Clark, is there any difference between Joss directing The Avengers and Joss directing Much Ado About Nothing?
They're both so awesome in different ways. You know, there's not a danger that anyone's going to turn into a giant green rage monster. And I was clear that in this script, it was going to be hard for him to kill me off. But in all seriousness, I had so much fun doing The Avengers, and even though it ended kind of badly, I was going through a little postpartum, like, oh, I don't want this to be over, and then to get another call, I just got to jump in with a different group of Avengers, equally superheroic, and it just was more of the good time.
I love you, Clark.
I love you.
And Joss, would you ever conceive, I know that you're sort of booked up with the Marvel Universe until at least 2015, but is there any, do you conceive of doing this again, of sort of getting a bunch of your friends together, shooting Shakespeare or something else in the sort of same kind of fly by the seat of your pants style that you did this film with?
Well, not these people. You know, yes, but the question very often comes like, well, which Shakespeare play are you going to do next? And there are 2 answers to that. First is Hamlet, and the second one is that's not necessarily the next thing I want to do. What I would love to do is take this exact cast and do something completely different. I had never shot Shakespeare before. I had never edited a movie, which Danny Kaminsky and I did together before. I had never written a score before. I have now done a Shakespeare movie. It gives you the bug and you want to do more, but I also want to do something new, something very different. But yeah, truthfully, if it could be with these guys, I honestly wouldn't care what it is.
Okay, let's switch to questions. This cool light thing is about to happen, so let's go to questions.
Oh, wow. Nancy. We are rock stars.
All right, my question is for the cast and for Joss. I was just wondering if you could notice any similarities sort of in style or anything between the words of Shakespeare and the words of Joss Whedon. Like if there was any sort of similarities there in sensibility or tone or anything like that. And then if Mr. Whedon could answer that as well, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think a lot of them don't make any sense. And they're in the wrong order and you gotta look shit up. And so, yeah, I'm just like Shakespeare. That quote is going to get tweeted and everyone will hate me. Actually, quick sidebar, I did once during lighting setup on Buffy write a song in my office called The Ballad of How I'm Like Shakespeare, but that was only after there was a report that they had found traces of weed in his pipe.
Alright, let's go to the next question.
Hi, my name is Tina. First of all, I think I can speak on behalf of all of us that we love you very much. I just wanted to ask, like, for the actors and also for Joss, what was the most difficult part of sort of modernizing this story?
Somebody else tell me that.
Did you say the most difficult part?
Modernizing the story was the most difficult part. Modernizing or interesting part. Modernizing or make a joke or something, for God's sake. Mind us inspired.
I'll do it. For some of us, like, I didn't exactly always understand what I was saying. So to me, Shakespeare, it's a lot like speaking Swedish. I'm not fully trained in Swedish. or Shakespeare. So I would have to ask Joss to essentially translate
and then I'd have to ask Alexis.
So it was just kind of, but he actually made it easy because all the direction and all the way the scenes were set made sense in the original text and probably the way you would have seen it on stage, but then it also made sense, you know, in the bedroom of this house or in the policeman's lair. What do police have? Not a lair, a station? I don't know. There's no dragons in this movie, spoiler alert. But yeah, so I think Joss took the difficulty away, made it easy.
Next question.
Hi.
Jump in.
Sorry. I just graduated with a film degree last year, and I was really intrigued by how you made this movie. It's very like how me and my friends make our movies, where a bunch of us get together, we go to someone's house and film. So I was just wondering what kind of advice you have for people who really want to get famous or at least successful in the film industry. And I've heard just keep making movies, I know that, but I'm wondering like what you think of just starting out and using Kickstarter, using Indiegogo, and how to use Twitter and all that kind of stuff. Like how do you think I could someday be where you're sitting right now?
Well, you could actually just come up. You can get that over with, and then you can sit here. Even though you just asked Wilford Brimley about Twitter. Okay? I could not know less about how to work social media or what my phone is for. I still make calls. I will say that part of how this group came together, Nick and Brian and Ricky were all people that I became huge fans of on the internet because they were writing and directing some of the best sketch comedy and songs that are on the internet. And that, looking to them,
Thank you.
Garfunkel and Oates. Titanic.com. If you don't know, you need to. If you are under 18 years of age, it's dirty, very dirty. So I guess being dirty would be my advice. But you know, and even when we did the bus ride, I was like, oh, I'll tweet, watch, and just.
You're talking about the bus ride to South by Southwest.
When we all took a bus to Austin together, 30 hours on a bus together, and we're still talking. Yeah, that's camaraderie. But these guys were setting out vines and pictures and that I wasn't even aware of. I was in some of them and I wasn't aware of them. You know, I would say from watching these guys and watching other people, you know, like the great entrepreneur and the hardest working woman in show business, Felicia Day. It's about becoming every kind of producer, and so that you can micromanage everything until you reach a state where you actually have enough people you trust that you can let them just start to do it for you. That's what I got.
If you want it, just because I got stuff through social media in this movie, I think you need to be really hard on yourself, really patient, and not result-oriented. I think that's kind of the key. You just keep making it. You just graduated, just keep doing it. Don't expect results right away, and be harder on yourself and harder on yourself. Make more and more and get better and better. And I think good things will happen.
Also, if you eventually, just statistically, for my life, if you wait long enough, Joss Whedon emails you in a movie. So I think that probably happens to everyone.
And if I can see correctly that you're wearing a Son of Coal t-shirt, I believe you're on the right track. You have a big future in this business. Next question.
Hi. My question is for Joss, which is, You've worked with Amy and Alexis before, obviously, because you use the same actors and everything. But you do. But
are you making eggs, by the way? Are you whisking someone?
Question is, what is it like having two actors who you before have had a love interest and have that chemistry, but as completely different love interests? And like, what is it like directing them in that kind of way?
That's a good question.
Dirty. I come back to it again and again, partially because of the chemistry they have. I mean, we're talking about two actors who both got to die in each other's arms. And the intensity of what the three of us went through with that experience. And obviously they went through something that I wasn't a part of. But there was also, you know, the part that I got to have access to. It was enormously electric and romantic. And because they're dear friends of mine and each other's, and because at the Shakespeare readings they just killed everything. They were so great. They were stuck in my head. I didn't approach it differently. I mean, you approach every character differently, obviously, but I wasn't looking to get something that I hadn't already gotten, because they came to it with a history, and in our version of the movie, Beatrice and Benedict have a history. It's not a very long one, about a night, but it informs how they are together. And knowing that I had that intimacy, there wasn't really a lot of sort of me trying to direct them in one way or another. It was more just appreciating what they had and us discussing what they were actually saying all the time. And I forget, either Amy or Alexis, who their first scene together, one of them is like, she's like, I hate men and I don't want to fall in love, and he's like, yeah, I don't like women at all. And they're completely putting each other down the whole time, but one of the actors pointed out, they're also both saying, E.T. Dubs, I'm single. So, you know, always knowing that we were playing both threads at once meant that, you know, we could give it that through line and integrity, but, you know, I didn't say to them, hey, have chemistry, because they had that covered.
Next question.
Hello, my name is Vanessa, and my question is for Joss. In what we've seen so far, it seems like you stay very true to the material of the dialogue, and I was wondering what the difficulties were for bringing the old to the new, to the modern to the old, and how you meshed them together so beautifully. I mean, what were some of the struggles involved in that?
You know, it wasn't a huge struggle. You know, you see productions of Shakespeare that are set in different times, in different places. The first Much Ado I ever saw was set during World War I, which meant that Don John had the best outfit. You were the best Don John, but he had the best outfit. You know, it translates, it always does. There were certain decisions that had to be made. The sword is going to be a gun. They're going to come in cars. They're going to say, I learn in this letter, and hold up their cell phones. Not so that we can be cute about it, but just because, so that it would flow. But with the black and white and putting everybody in these elegant suits and lovely summer dresses, we were trying to, while modernizing it, also create a kind of distance. A sort of, these are people we don't all necessarily hang out with. This is from another era. We wanted to evoke kind of a 30s and 40s noir comedy thing. So, you know, the language, it just works. It holds up. Shakespeare's talking about people, and very often, even though it's very poetic, in the way that people talk. These guys all wrapped their mouths around all those speeches with such specificity and such emotion that, you know, I think, hopefully, a little ways into the movie, you forget that it's Elizabethan funny talk.
Can I add something to that, actually? One of my favorite parts about the film is that how Joss interpreted the text through a modern lens, or the contemporary lens with contemporary perspective, and it elicits this new meaning that Shakespeare probably never intended. But you know, you've got these these jokes and sort of like funny and touching moments that I don't think you've ever seen in other productions of the play because of just the blocking and the, you know, for instance, changing the gender of Ricky's character, and you know, these decisions elicit new meaning, and that's the most unique part about this. It's not just a, you know, bland retelling of the same story. It's new.
Next question. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Mike. What was the decision of it being a full black and white movie that you did like a hint of color in the movie? What was that decision?
Well, 2 years and I'll be able to do that for real. You know, they stuck little bits of color in the trailer, which was something we had actually talked about doing in the movie, because there were certain things we really wanted to pop out. We didn't have the money to do that, because it would have taken, you know, so that was actually done by the trailer house, I think, beautifully. But we wanted to because, for example, the room that Benedict and Claudio, Benedict is talking about, you know, his disdain for women and marriage, and they walk into the room that they're staying in at Leonardo's estate, and it's bright pink, because it was actually my daughter's room. And I was like, can we have the pink? But then where do you get rid of the pink? And it was something we would love to have done, but we couldn't. So it's just, we went with black, white, and some grays.
Next question.
Hi, my name is Matt, and this is directed to Josh. First off, my mom says hi. Second, before you create or participate in a project, what is the thing that makes you say, yes, this is something that I want to do?
Do I have something to say? It took me a long time to figure out if I wanted to do the Avengers, because I knew that it was a job of work, and I sort of thought about it for a long time and went, okay, do I have anything to say about a bunch of weird, alienated people who were forced to come together when they'd rather be alone? And I thought, and, you know, we did the reading with Amy and Alexis playing Beatrix and Benedict at the house. We did a Shakespeare reading in the backyard about 10 years before we actually shot it. And it was looking at the text and going, oh, I have something to say about this. It's not, as Jay was saying, you can throw up cameras and shoot a production of a play, but, you know, we wanted to make a film. We wanted to make a new film. And it was realizing, oh, this will be my version of what he has to say, which is what every director and actor gets to do when they reinterpret something classical. It's a great experience.
Next question.
I have a question for
That's an
Joss.
awesome t-shirt, by the way.
Thank you. I have a question for Joss and the entire cast. Do you guys have any memorable on-set experiences?
Somebody else, memorable on-set experience, someone have one, or make up an awesome one. Nathan, he's not here again. Let's call him.
Well, I'll jump in. It's hard to pinpoint, I think, one experience, but a lot of the party scenes, it was actually a real party happening like in one room, and then you would go and film in the other room, and come back in and join the party. And there were just so many dance parties, which I think might be my favorite part. And we continued, I mean, every time we get together, there is a dance party on the bus even. There was. So for me, that just like getting together and dancing. What just happened?
Yeah, the thing to know about this movie is because we shot it at Joss's house, that was the set. So we were encouraged to like come and just stay and like hang out on set and like get drunk and like pass out. Which is not been allowed on set before, much less encouraged to be. And that was, the whole experience was just like one big party. It was incredible.
And because it was a Joss test too, I went through his drawers.
She doesn't mean she's in the drawers.
Well, and also it weirdly has continued, like there's been recurring dance parties, and then the 2-day-long dance party on the bus to Texas. So it's weird that a cast has even sees each other after filming something, but the fact that we all got along so well and continued to hang out, it's kind of weird but awesome.
I feel like once it does come out, we're gonna have to make excuses like, it's a week anniversary since it came out. Let's have a party. It's 2 weeks.
Drive a bus somewhere.
It's Tuesday. Morning.
I think what's really memorable for me is that usually if you play a character in a movie who doesn't have a name, you don't get to sit on a panel and answer questions. Let alone get to ride in a bus with the rest of the cast. And the fact that that Brian and I were made to feel welcome at all is incredible.
Aww. Well, Brian has a name.
That's right. So
He has a name. Just you. It's only you.
Right. And thank you for reminding me again, Joss.
I think you've taken up enough mic time.
Next question. By the way, I just want to we did have parties,
and yes, there is a party in the movie where some of the extras were actually partying at the other side of the house because they were our friends. I think most people were sober while they were working. We were all on coke, but we didn't drink.
Stay in school, kids.
Next question, please.
Hi, my name is Gina. I think, Joss, if you do Hamlet, I think Tom Hiddleston should be Hamlet. But anyway, since you scored this film, how is the process like of scoring What to Do About Nothing?
A lot like this. It was very difficult in some ways because I can't really play an instrument or work Pro Logic very well, so it went slowly. Also, I was doing the other thing. But it was honestly as much fun as shooting it because when you do something like that, when you compose in a different way, you're a character in the movie. And suddenly I had to sort of control, and augment mood and the changeovers. There's a lot, it's a very bipolar text. It goes from low comedy to high drama like that, and then it'll sort of ride one. And so knowing that I was going to have to just sort of get in and out and do those things and try to find a sound that felt evocative but original, which I have no idea if I accomplished that, but I had so much fun doing it. And the best part also was that I didn't have to do it that much, because what I didn't want to do was layer music over Shakespeare's dialogue, which is the music of the film. I was just there to sort of augment it. And I tried to evoke a little bit of a sort of, well, my lodestar was Elmer Bernstein's score for the Grifters. Which this score is nothing like, but that sort of has that kind of ominous jauntiness to it that I wanted to get at. So, who knows? You'll see.
Next question.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Hi, my name is Eric. Clark, thank you for saying you'll give me a hug because of my fiance breaking up with me. I appreciate that.
Yes, that made me mad.
That made you
Fiance broke up with you at WonderCon?
Yeah.
They should lose their nerve
I'll be out there afterwards for my hug. But anyway.
Oh, I'm gonna bring you something.
Okay.
Maybe we can take it for your fiance.
no saliva left in my mouth, thank you. So no, my question was there any, like... So my question was, were there any hijinks or pranks on the set between anybody, and if there's any stories about that?
Hijinks or pranks?
If this is when you reveal that it was all fucking prank, for me, I'm gonna...
I mean, the whole thing was kind of hijinks in a way, so...
Yeah. You know, there's not a ton of hijinks when I'm shooting because I'm like, don't have fun. It's after I say action and before I say cut. And we had to shoot 8 pages of Elizabethan dialogue in a single day. So we were all in a state of joy and in my case, panic. It was just a constant.
I mean, that was kind of what felt like probably not so accidental magic to the thing was completely consuming. It was all in the same place, and the camera was almost always rolling and shooting this stuff. So all that stuff, the hijinks, all that stuff kind of made it into the film. You see it in some of the, it's there, you know, it wasn't spent out on the craft service table. That didn't sound right at all.
Anytime someone fell down, I had strategically placed a banana peel. So You're welcome.
If we ever get Reed Diamond to do one of these panels, you'll discover what a true fop is. That for me was honestly, after filming the highlight, was Reed doing his fop.
There were hijinks, like in Toronto when we went to the film festival, we met what we thought was Bono, but it was the world's greatest Bono impersonator. That wasn't Bono. And we thought we went to a US concert, but it was Shakura. Like that was hijinks and crazy. Story for another time. Shakura.
We thought it was Shakira.
Still angry about it.
Last question.
Thank you all so much for Much Ado, and Joss, thank you for what I like to imagine is Wesley and Fred finding each other in another dimension. So when do we get James Marsters and Juliet Landau to play Macbeth?
I think you said something about James and Juliet, but I didn't hear it all.
James and Juliet as Macbeth and Lady Macbeth.
Yes. When we started the Shakespeare readings, it's because James desperately wanted to play Macbeth. And I said, you know, we used to do these readings when I was a kid. We should get together. And he's like, I'm in Macbeth. And I think he actually, every reading we did, whatever part he got, he just played Macbeth. I don't think Festy the Jester sees Banquo's Ghost. No, he does. But Macbeth is a play that I struggle with enormously because they're not very likable. I can still kill people. Your last line is, we'll have dancing after, and then I sent you home, and that's when I had, you know, I got a stunt double. Go, China!
I knew it! Well, guys, thank you so much for coming out here.